And we're live. Welcome everyone to another edition of Beyond the Lecture. This is episode number 4. And in this episode, we're going to talk a little bit about graphic design. Okay, what is it about? I know graphic design has been around for like forever, you know. As long as there's been product, there's been a design element, I suppose. Of course, my historical knowledge about graphic design is very fuzzy. But to help me understand everything and anything about graphic design, I have my very good colleague here, Alce, who's been doing graphic design for a while now, and she now teaches graphic design for a living as well. So say hi, Alce. How are you?
Hi, Aaron, and hi, everyone.
All right. So before we get kick-started on all these things, I'm going to get Alce to sort of share a little bit about her background, what she has been doing for the last 20 years or so of her career. I won't reveal her age, okay? but what she's been doing for the last 20 years or so, and then we'll get kick-started. We'll get started into talking about some of the important areas on graphic design. So, Alce, a bit about yourself, please.
Yes. Hi, everyone. I've been in the design industry for about 20 years. And actually, how to start with it was quite interesting. Because when it comes about design, there's so many things about design agency or advertising. So during my study time, what I like to do, especially after from one semester to another semester, what I would like to do is I like to do internship. And when I do internship, yes, then I will try different schools or different kind of like company, basically. Like one actually will be advertising, and then the next semester I will work in a design agency, and the next semester I will work with a multimedia. So actually that really quite a fun thing, because actually I will also gain a lot of friends, connections, and make me like understand better about what is design all about.
Okay, but before you get into that, what sort of sparked the interest in you to want to know more about design? What is it about design that speaks so much to you?
Right, design is something that really inspiring in terms of it always gives you a lot of room for imagination. Okay. It's like, yes. For example, there's one time actually I was doing my high school actually. There was actually the biology lesson. And then I was actually aiming to be a doctor.
Right.
Surgeon, yes. I was listening to the lecturer, and then after that, at the same time, I was doing sketching.
Okay. How old were you at that time?
Oh, wow.
You were still in your schooling days, I suppose.
Yes, correct.
Okay.
Like high school, but even 15 and 16. And that was the time that actually I was like already thinking, okay, I want to be a surgeon. So that's why I took science. But it's always been my interest since young that I like to do sketching. And then I'm the type of person that I can listen to the lecturer and I can do sketching. And as I was doing the sketching, one of my classmates looked at my drawing and she said, "Hey, you know what, Alce? I quite like how you do the drawing. What if, let's say, I paid you and then you just give me this sketching? Or if, let's say, that time actually Looney Tunes, right?" She said, "I like this Tasmania from Looney Tunes. Could you please draw it for me?" And I said, "Yeah, sure." Then I started to do the drawing, and then I put the lamination, and then I sell it as a bookmark.
Right.
And
so that was your early days of creating and designing something. But it's all by hand.
Exactly, by hand. But that's the one that made me really, considering what I really want in this life and my career.
Right.
Because if, let's say, you want to do your career, it's going to be about 30 and 40 years. And you don't want to do it have to work, but you want to do it something that makes you happy.
That's true, right?
Yes.
But that said, though, like, because, right, just hearing from what you've been saying, your interest in graphic design started fairly young. Still in your schooling days, and you sort of knew that that is the one thing that spoke to you a lot, and you can find yourself investing in this field a lot for the next 20, 30 years.
Yes.
So when you shared with your parents that you're interested in doing this, I mean, let's face it, telling your parents that you want to do design and graphic stuff isn't exactly the most welcoming news that they want to hear, isn't it? Because usually the common causes would be like the businesses, or you said earlier you wanted to be a surgeon,
Yes.
So this is, economically it might be a little bit of a step down, isn't it? So
Correct.
when they hear that you wanted to do graphic design, what was their thoughts? What were their comments?
Oh wow, yeah, that was a quite challenging time. So basically, my mom was okay with that because she was a fashion designer.
Right.
Yes.
Oh, that helps.
Yes.
Okay.
But my dad is a very strong businessman, and he did mention that, are you sure that you can, sustain in this industry? Then that was actually the time when I was really think about it. Then I mentioned to my dad, I said, hey dad, if I really want to pursue for my career, and basically you can pursue anything in your life.
Yeah.
But you have to do it with your, you can pursue like surgeon, but you have to have love. You have love in it. But what if I say you don't have, really passion about it? It's just the passion just like kick off after doing halfway. Then perhaps in the end, you're not going to be the surgeon. So then I told my dad, I said, what I really want is to be designer. And that make me really like feel completed and content with life. And I can pursue my future career in this industry.
So no regrets?
No.
Very good, very good. Okay, yeah, continue, please.
Perhaps I said also I can share things with you that that's what I feel, right? Because I feel like design make me feel so completed and content.
Yep.
And throughout the time, actually, when I starting to go study, I start to understand that the word design come from the Italian words disegno.
All right.
Means actually it's problem solving.
Oh,
Yes.
I did not know that. So design actually, considering most people sort of associate the word design with the meaning of that it's something very artsy, something very subjective, something very, not technical, isn't it?
Correct.
So now that you're saying, okay, design is actually something fairly simplistic in the way you look at it, which is just solving problems, right?
Yes.
But why is it problem solving though?
Right. Because in every design that we do, we need to understand first who actually we want to design it for. And then by understanding our customer, basically you get to know how to make them feel comfortable, how our design can solve the problem and make them feel better. So a lot of time we always think that design is just a design, or it wasn't just like just like graphic or colorful things. But actually, without we realize, I would say it's like a medicine. It's like because actually, yes, it's of course it's not something that we just take, but it's our senses. In our daily life, we always engage our senses as well, our view, and then our hearing, and then sometimes actually when we do design, there's a sense of touch, right?
Yep.
Certain kind of paper, and that actually the one that makes us feel really better. Yes, and then sometimes actually by doing all this design, it helps to give a lot of solution and different perspective and direction to the next step as well.
I think I'm going to get more into when you spoke earlier about actually solving problems and knowing who you're designing it for.
Yep.
I think that's a crucial thing for us to talk about when we actually talk about the applications of graphic design in the context of a career, right?
Yep.
In the context of dealing with clients. So we can talk more about that at a later stage.
Sure.
But you think of graphic design as a field, right? Today, what graphic design is. I look at graphic design, again, I'm not a designer, but I look at graphic design today, I feel, at least from my perspective, it's very different compared to what I understood what graphic design was 10 years ago, 15 years ago. I mean, and I understand that there's technology and all, and graphic design has become much more accessible.
That's true.
With the inventions of tablets, mobile, it made it a lot easier. It made it a lot more convenient to create. People can get started on creating very easily. I mean, take my brother for example, and even myself. I took the just simple initiative of just creating a logo based on downloading an app, picking templates every here and there, and then you build something up and boom, there you go, a logo.
Yeah.
But there's more than that goes into just designing a logo, right? There's more than that than just that goes into how the field itself has changed over the years. So in your perspective, how did you find these changes? How did it affect you? And what are the sort of notable changes that you find is very impactful, whether it's good or bad?
Right, sure. Actually, the idea of graphic design really changed a lot from the past to the present time. Nowadays, actually, when we see into graphic designs, it's not just about printing, it's not just about typography anymore. But the idea of like design is a problem solving has been the core of graphic design. And the funny thing is, we don't really call it very strong of graphic design as well, but we use it as the platform of a design. Why? Because actually graphic designers is the one who actually come up with the UI UX as well, which is can work together with all the technology nowadays. And graphic design is really focused into our customer. We'll really look into what they really need and how to like really get to approach to them. And graphic design, we use a lot of design thinking. And design thinking, the ideology is using empathy. Really care about our customer. And by using that, the idea of like real empathy, then really help to solve the problems and to reach out to many people to give more to the social impact as well.
Okay. Speaking of design thinking, right? I have some of your work in front of me right here.
Yeah.
We're going to go through some of them. I mean, I'm not going to lie to you, because whenever I hear the word design thinking, it always feels very. I find it difficult to relate to that word. Okay, not because it's a bad thing or whatever, but it's more so of I don't know what it really means to think design. You understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
I can think about how to shoot a scene, shoot a video, and the thought process that goes behind that. But design thinking is more than just thinking about what you're going to design. Am I right?
Yes,
it's completely different. So there's a certain perspective, or there's a certain angle to design thinking that perhaps I don't quite understand. So maybe you can go through with me about what is your design thinking process when you're actually doing some of the work that we're going to show right now. Okay, so
sure.
This one, for example, what is the thought process behind it?
All right, this is the idea about authenticity. A lot of us, right? We always think about authenticity is like, I know means actually it's being true or real, but the real philosophy on authenticity is still like people still not sure about authenticity.
Okay.
Because a lot of people still are defining what is authentic nowadays. For example, if let's say you go to the museum and then you see there's this very old and vintage paper.
Right.
How do we know that it's really authentic? Just because it's being placed in museum.
Correct.
So then actually it start to make us to think and consider how can you define the idea of authenticity nowadays? For example, also if I say there's original paper and then there's a copy. And then of course we call it actually is authentic is the original one. But what if let's say the original one is gone? Just left the copy. Do you call it authentic? Or do you call it the copy? So
right.
A lot of things actually change, yes.
But I mean, maybe I'm very shallow for asking this, but
no worries.
But why does it matter though?
When it comes about design thinking, it's all about understanding the process.
Okay.
And understanding what is the customer behaviors, what they really want. Right. Like for example, if let's say you just walk around in the shopping mall in the orchard. A lot of us we think that people just want to go for shopping and then they just want to walk around. But a lot of us actually why we do that, why we do walking and why we want to do shopping. Because we want to have our needs to be fulfilled, certain things. And that's why by understanding what the customer wants it and how do they feel, this is what we call empathy. This is part of the design thinking. So in design thinking, it means actually you need to understand what they really want and we find the solution for them. And sometimes we need to check, hey, is your solution is really correct and effective? Try to test. And then if let's say the people said, it's okay, then you have to go back to your brainstorming again and check what is the best way and go for another solutions. So design thinking is basically about considering and trying different methods and
Okay.
see which one is the best for your customer.
I see. Okay.
Yes.
I mean, now that you sort of enlighten me and tell me that, okay, design is actually problem solving,
Yes.
then in that case, you're basically thinking of solutions,
Yes.
right? To the design, to the existing problems or the existing issues that the clients are facing
Mm-hmm.
with regard to perhaps reaching a certain target audience or a certain base.
Yes.
Right, so I have another picture in front of me here. It's quite nice. The colors are quite eclectic. So let me know the thought
Thanks.
process behind that one.
Right. This is a very interesting one. All right. So if let's say there's the pictures on the right top, right? There is actually batik.
Batik. Okay.
Yes.
So it's fabric.
It's made on the paper actually. I did it in Illustrator.
Okay.
Basically, I try to see how long it take me to do batik digitally, and I realized I can make it about 5 to 10 minutes in Illustrator.
It took you 5 to 10 minutes to do that.
Exactly. Yes.
Okay. I thought it's something that takes 5 to 10 hours. Okay. I have no idea. It takes 10 minutes.
Yes, 5 to 10
Okay.
minutes.
All right.
Yes. Well, batik in Indonesia, right? In order for you to do the batik in fabric, it might take you days.
Yeah. I mean, I've seen how batik works. Like they first have to outline the thing with the pen, right? And then I don't know, wait it to dry or something. Then the color goes on, and then the washing, and then the washing again, right?
Yes, correct.
All that takes a lot of time. That's why real batik is so expensive.
Exactly, yes.
Right? So this one,
Craftsmanship.
you're telling me you created it in 10 minutes.
Yes, exactly.
Of course, it's not a. To be fair, it's not a fabric, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But still, the intricacies that goes behind it, I would really thought it would take longer. It would look great framed up on a wall somewhere,
Yes. Actually, there's one also. When I did it, it also make me question, what about craftsmanship?
Mm-hmm.
So it's like when people do the batik, actually they do it with their hands. But this one also I do it with hand, but of course with the help of computer. But it make me question, why is the idea of craftsmanship? How does
Right.
actually converted from being the fabric onto digital as well?
So when you say something is okay, so you actually drew this
Mm-hmm.
on like a, what do you call that, drawing pad, is
Pen
it?
tool, yes. Also.
Okay, and then you added the color to it,
Yeah.
digitally.
Yes, correct.
So it sort of brings new meaning to the whole idea of what is handmade,
Yes.
isn't it?
Correct.
Because if you say that, okay, I hand drawn this design,
Mm-hmm.
but is it really handmade? It's
Yes.
But have you been faced with that question before? Or have you sort of questioned that concept before? Is it really handmade? Does it feel personal when you're doing it like this?
Actually, it is. Okay, maybe also I can bring up some of my interests, which is calligraphy.
Okay.
I love calligraphy. I took the course also in London back then. In order for you, before you really start to do the writing, it took you you have to join or attend 3 classes before you really start with all the calligraphy writing. And how they taught you is basically how to sit. You have to be straight up and then you have to be 45 degrees. So certain angle.
Right.
So, but with that experience and compare it, you just download a free font from the font and then you just do the writing.
Which is something I do all the time, by the way. I don't mean to copyright anyone if anyone's listening, but you download something from the font, right?
Yes.
You look at whichever speaks to you. Okay, this looks good. Okay, let's add that to your editing software or to your Microsoft Word or whatever, and then boom, you have a nice font.
Yes,
right?
Exactly.
But it's different from your perspective, of course, right? Because the level of appreciation, that's where I guess a lot of perhaps maybe even clients don't get it, because even those fonts that are in the font, even though it's free, still takes somebody to create it. It still takes some level of thought processing or design thinking, right?
Yes.
To figure out that, hey, this font might speak to somebody. This design might be appealing to some brands, some products, some websites, and that's why it's created. That's why it's there,
Yep.
right? So maybe that thought process where you still need to invest time, you still need to invest energy into creating all these designs, that even though it's available to us for free, we sometimes do take for granted, isn't it?
Yes, exactly. Sometimes actually, for example, right, when we download a lot of fonts, and then comparison to another website we call My Font, which is one font can cost you about $100 or $200.
What's the difference?
Okay. This is I'm happy to share with you. When it comes about DAF font, right? Actually, when we use and then we download, we can easily use it.
Yeah.
Okay. If let's say like that time actually I was working for the magazine, so I download from DAF font, and then I use this font. Okay, and then after that, there's another one I use from My Font as well. I just really want to know what's the difference. And when I compare it, I realize that every time when you use a free fonts, the spacing between one alphabet to another alphabet is always different. It's not stable. So in the end, what you need to do, you need to adjust one by one.
Oh, okay.
Yes, so it might take a longer time.
You can't do that in Photoshop?
Advisable Illustrator.
Okay.
Yes.
Because you can adjust, the spacing between between letters in Photoshop, isn't it?
Yes, that one also doable.
But you're saying with the ones from the font, you can't do that, or it's more difficult to do it?
Okay, when you want to apply typography, we can use Photoshop. But if let's say suddenly your client said, "Hey, you know what? I want to have a bigger image." Right. And when we blow it up, the image might become blurry.
Okay.
Yes.
The zigzag thing might happen.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yes. Okay. So it's good to apply typography on Illustrator, Adobe Illustrator, and then after that, you need to adjust the spacing every alphabets, and that's when you download for free. In the end, for example, you download for free, and then you do adjustment, and then might take you about 2 hours to do it.
Okay.
And if let's say you're willing to invest on the myfonts.com, maybe actually yes, you've spent a little bit, but you might able to finish it within 1 hour.
Right.
Yes.
So basically the price that you pay comes with the ease of use and the ease of edit.
Yes.
But essentially, you're saying that the same fonts could exist on two platforms.
Similar.
Okay, similar looking fonts can exist on two platforms because the difference could be very minute and different, isn't it?
Correct, yes.
Okay.
However, I still compliment all the designers in DAF font though. Why? Because actually, for example, if let's say it's your work, you design the typography or the font, and then you allow people to download it for free, means the person is really, or the designer is really, just want to share, hey, this is my work, and then, you can just explore how to use it. So again, I think I still put give a credit to the designer in that font.
Okay. So there is a reason why it's free, but when you actually use it, you need to credit the person using it, is it?
Yes, that will be
okay.
Good.
It's quite similar to how free soundtracks work on YouTube. I think I've used one or two of those before, where they give you free usage. You can use it on any platform.
Yeah.
Even though it's a paid job, you can use it, but you do have to credit the creator in some format. And I think it's a pretty good way to get recognized. But it also does tell you how difficult it is to break through such an industry, isn't it? To sort of make a name for yourself because it's so saturated now.
Yes.
And because, like I said earlier, because it's so accessible, it's so easy to design. That means there's a lot more designer. Yeah. Of course, there's a difference as to the level of experience for each designer. Everyone could specialize in different things. Yep. You mentioned earlier, some could be typography, some could be calligraphy, some could be other stuff. But again, it just shows you how diverse this field can be and how difficult for you to sort of maneuver your way and sort of make a name for yourself, especially if you want to go freelance, isn't it?
Correct, yes. I think that's a very good point. So a lot of based on my experience, I would say that if let's say you are still a student, or if let's say you just freshly graduated, I would suggest that rather than you give your work on the font type into the DAF font, why not you encourage people to visit your website and then look into your work, your portfolios, and then if let's say they're interested, they can even download the font for free. So indirectly, it also to promote about what is actually what you can do in terms of other typography, what else can you do, and then also you can like, allow people to, hey, you know what, this is my skill, you can try onto your work and see how good it is gonna be.
But how do you put the word out for people to come to your website? How do you do that?
Okay, it can be through Behance as well, or
Okay.
it can be on your website, or it can be other people a website, or it can be through the social media as well.
Okay.
Yes.
So
or
you're using
Pinterest.
you're basically using the various social platforms to spread the word that you actually do design and you actually do all these things. And if you are
Correct.
looking for free fonts, and if you're looking for a package of design elements, then you can actually go to my website and get it all there.
Yes,
Okay,
correct.
that sounds good. Another picture that I'm looking at
Yeah,
right now.
sure.
I think I spoke earlier to you and I told you this speaks a lot to me. I don't know for whatever reason. Maybe it reveals a little bit of my personality when I
Mhm.
see something that speaks to me.
Right.
Because I like the element of design that goes into this picture, right? So talk me through it.
All right, this is Skinholic. Actually, they are based in Indonesia. So Skinholic is just opened last year. So nowadays, when it comes to about you just a new company, new brand, how can you really show to the public that you exist, the brand? So my suggestion is actually I give to the client. I said work onto with your social media. All right, and nowadays especially during COVID, a lot of like things going on, and sometimes it's good to give comfort to your audience, and sometimes by providing a very good balance, and then by using symbolism that actually reflected in the social media, that will help a lot. For example, Skinholic is all about being providing a healthy kind of skin, right? So by providing the skin tone and very good kind of basics, that will help people to understand as well.
So the colors that you use in this picture right here
Yes,
is sort of purposefully chosen to match skin tone colors, is it?
correct.
Okay.
Yes, and then if you look into the materials that being used, it's actually used a lot of paper.
Right.
Yes, it shows that actually we look into natural items and we are into organic approach.
Ah, okay,
Yes.
okay.
And sometimes it's very good to do this kind of very calming approach that will actually help to give the audience again the empathy and the comfort that they want.
I noticed though in your designs, we've looked through about 3 so far, you have a tendency of going for smaller fonts, isn't it?
Yes.
Why is that?
Okay. I can share this with you.
Is this part of your signature as a designer? Like, again, I don't know this, but perhaps every designer has his or her own signature stamp on on a design element, because that's why you go for a particular designer, isn't it? Because you
Yes.
want his or her signature application on something.
Yes.
So is this part of yours? And if it's not, then what is it that is like your design?
Yes,
You know?
that's very interesting actually. Right. The reason why I always use this specific kind of font size is because actually it's to make me to create some contrast when I bring in some big size font. For example, like most of my font size is 16 point. That is the size actually we have to use for digital platform. When you do that, 16 points, and then most of the artwork using 16 points, and then suddenly, boom, you put in about 120 points. A lot of people will have attention to that area, that 120 points.
Correct.
And that is when we get the attention, and that's when we get people to attracted to the design as well. A good contrast will create harmony to the work. And by creating harmony, a lot of people will have tendency to look into your work.
Okay. But you see, though, I can almost hear it from the clients whom are paying big money for all these things. They're gonna say, "It's so small. How am I gonna read it? How are my customers going to read it?" To
Right.
that, what do you say? Because as a designer, I assume we are always finding that struggle between what you want as a designer and what the client wants, and what the client finds convenient to sell something.
Yes.
Right? So, say for example, I want my brand to be big. I want the instructions to be big. I want the picture to be big. I want this color, that color. But you know in your mind it's not going to work.
Yes.
Yeah, you already know it. But you, of course, you don't want to piss the client off at that time. So, how do you normally negotiate all these terms?
All right. When it comes to this, what I would always share with my client is, who is your target audience? Okay, and their primary and secondary. But I will look into the primary, the core target audience. How old are they? Actually, what's the age group? Because different age group will have different kind of design style. For example, if let's say it's for the babies, okay, they will not like something black and white. And then if let's say a lot of our client actually said, oh, I want my target audience to be everyone in the public. Means actually will be the babies and the seniors. But when it comes to that, design is always looking into the core of the target audience. Means actually who is the main target audience. And then what we're going to do, we're going to approach that person with the design style that what they understand the most and what they're comfortable the most. And usually when it's come to this, I will share with them, okay, this is the target audience that you have chosen. And then with this kind of age group, this is kind of like visual style they are looking into it. What is very comfortable on their eyes. Yes, for the visual as well.
But you see, there's always this saying, right? Or what is your take on this famous line that the client is always right?
Yes.
Are they always right?
Oh, that's actually very interesting. Through my experience as well, yes, sometimes actually what we propose to our clients, the client will say, sorry Alce, that's not suitable, I want to work on with different layout. Then in the end, I will really look into it again. What my client really wants and who is the target audience. So sometimes actually by looking into our client, actually because they've been dealing with the product for many years, longer than us, so sometimes it's good thing to have perspective from your client and also being a designer. So my suggestion is, if let's say you think actually the first one is actually not really the best solution, what we can do is we combine two perspectives. From your client perspective and your perspective as a designer as well.
Right.
And when you combine it, it will give you the best effective solution.
Right.
Yes.
Okay. So it's always about negotiating.
Exactly.
Right.
Yes.
And sort of finding that nice middle ground.
Correct.
But okay, throughout you've been in graphic design as a graphic designer for a good part of 15, 18 years now.
Yes,
right?
That's correct.
Have you, at this point, considering that most people will have to face this at some point in their career, have you at any point published or sort of sold works that you're not proud of?
Oh. Yes, actually.
Has it happened?
Yes.
Okay, tell me more about it.
Right. Basically, when I do my project, especially my freelance, I will give them 3 options.
Okay.
The first option will be what the clients really like, their perspective.
Okay.
The second one will be something that what I really like. And then the third option will be something in the between of my client and my perspective. Yes.
So how do you get them to? Do you normally, when you present it, right? You have 3 choices.
Correct.
Let's say choice A is the one you like the most, and then C is the one you don't like the most, right? And B is a little bit in between.
Correct.
So when you present it, do you have the tendency to lean towards more to A, and then to try to avoid going to C too much? Do you do that, or do you let the client sort of do the choosing?
Of course, this is what we call as our communication and presentation skills.
Yep.
Right. So there's always kind of tactic how we should discuss and present to our customer. So the first one will always be the customer perspective, because when we present it to them, they will very like acceptable. They can like, oh yes, I can take this idea. This is what I want. And the second one, it will be something that come from my perspective. So to show, hey, you know what? If let's say you can wanna turn 180 degrees, it's completely different perspective. Can be something like this. Sometimes customer can be quite, wow, this is something new. I might not be so, comfortable with it yet. And the last one will be something in the middle, which is that actually it can be something that they said, hey, actually maybe it is the time for me to get changes. That's why I'm hiring you as my freelance designer. And then also at the same time, but I still want to keep my values. So that's why actually they will go something in the between. So that's why I would suggest that what you think that the client will like the most and what you like the most means actually in between, it's good to be presented at the last one. It's more
so
memorable.
option B
Yes.
gets presented as the last one.
Yes, correct.
Okay.
You know what, Aaron? The funny thing is, during my high school time, I was very introvert.
Okay. All right.
And
You don't look like it now, though. But okay.
thank you. But yeah, so during that time, when I was joined my graphic design program, I was like, wow, I have to present to my customer, but I'm introvert. So this is the time when actually I also learn throughout my study time how to communicate, how to use the right language for my customer, and what is the right kind of like keywords that we have to use in order to give the best solution for our customer.
Do you still feel nervous
Well,
when
no.
you actually meet with clients? But perhaps not the same as you were 10, 15 years ago, but do you still have little bit of butterflies in your stomach when you're about to present to a client?
Definitely, yes.
Okay. How do you deal with that?
All right. So when it comes to this, I will just, of course, inhale and exhale.
Because you never know what they're going to answer, isn't
Yes.
it? You could be presenting 3 ideas which you are very proud of,
Yep.
and next thing you know, they could love it or they could hate it,
Yes.
and you're back to the drawing board all over again.
Yes.
So how do you normally deal with such... I mean, the good news are great, but how do you deal with all these bad news when it reaches you?
Yep. This is very interesting. Because being a designer, we always encourage to look from different perspective. So when you come out for meeting with a customer, and then when actually the client gives certain kind of feedback that you think that, it doesn't really make sense, and then my recommendation is try to put yourself, the empathy. This is again connected to your design thinking and to the customer perspective. What do you think customer will feel in this kind of like process? How actually the person or the client look into the solution as? Is that really successful or no? So putting different perspective will automatically kill your nervous system and just make you becoming a very rational. Oh yes, this is I think I understand why my customers say like this, and I think why is the best way how to deal or solve the problem.
Because I asked this because I've done a few corporate videos in my career, right? Where I had to deal with corporate clients, and
and how was it?
So whenever I give them the first draft, I have a tendency of maybe it's my signature and all, but I have a tendency of cutting in close. Right? When I shoot a talking head video, I tend to like to cut in so close that I almost cut off a bit of the head. So basically it's like this level, so when I go for a close-up, it's like this. So the little bit of the head gets chopped off by the frame.
Oops.
I like that because to me, the head is there. It's not like it's amputated or anything. But when I present it to clients, they generally are so focused on that part of their head being missing.
Yes.
So it's interesting because when you talk about seeing it from their point of view, seeing it from their perspective, that's the thing, isn't it? Because they will always look at that one thing which you find is maybe not so important or maybe not so relevant, but they will nitpick on that so much that in the end you'll just have to change it back to the original process or the original design.
Yes.
Correct?
Correct.
Yeah. So I guess it's just all kinds of creative fields will face that. suppose.
Yes.
Be it you're a director, or a videographer, you're a photographer, you're still facing with such things, because when you deal with clients, you just have to negotiate with what is in trend, the industry, what customers want, and versus what your client want.
Yes.
Right, and you sort of have to find that right balance. Okay, we don't have much time left. I'm being very aware of the time. But anyway, I do have a few more things I want to ask you, though.
Sure.
A lot of students, fresh grads especially, when they go into creative fields, they tend to have the aspirations of going into or graduating into the field as a freelancer.
Yep.
Right, graduating into the field as someone who can work independently.
Yep.
You know how millennials and people just tend to appreciate their freedom so much more, right? By not having a boss to work for.
Startup, yes.
Yeah, by having their own startup, having their own firm,
Yes.
working in a shared office space, it's the thing nowadays. Now, how do students actually? Now, first of all, is it possible to do that as a fresh grad?
Mm-hmm.
Second of all, if that is the main goal, how do students actually, or how do graduates plan themselves to eventually reach that stage?
All right. It's very good and very interesting. So based on my experience, of course, as a designer, it's always good to have your own company and a few designers that help to establish a very good company with you. But to be able to solve all problems or to come up with a lot of designs by using the right techniques, means in terms of what is the fastest way how to use these keywords or this kind of shortcut key in Illustrator, is actually based on my experience. Right, for example, last time, in order for me to do a poster when I was just fresh graduate, it took me about 2-3 hours.
Right.
But after I did my work in this company, I tried to do the same poster again. It can take me just about 15 minutes to 20 minutes. Yes. And basically, yes, sometimes actually we learn a lot of things during our study, but when actually the moment you graduate and you work in this company, you learn from your colleagues as well. How can you solve these problems? And actually giving you a different kind of perspective and different kind of methods, different ways how to create a better work and how to see things from different perspective, which is a very nice things.
Mm-hmm.
And throughout this process, actually it makes me to understand, okay, for example, even the batik, I can even do it within 5 minutes and I learn, to do this, I don't have to even go to the menu bar and do all this, to press all the button, but I can use all the key, shortcut key all the time. Boom, boom, boom. And this thing actually, honestly, I learned from my colleague.
Right.
Yes. And what happened is actually, imagine if, let's say, after you fresh graduate, and then after that you start working yourself, and then what happened is, first is actually, it's like, your exposure will be rather quite limited.
Mm-hmm.
So it's always good to have actually like your exposure being open up to learn from different people. And on top of that is a networking.
Right.
Because when I work with different companies, it allows me to have a better understanding of what the client wants and how to solve it.
Fair enough. So you're saying that it's more advisable for fresh grads to actually join a firm first.
Yes.
Or actually join a company first and work in a more collaborative environment.
Exactly, yes.
And then maybe from there, gain as much experience as possible and be open to learning as much as possible, because the learning doesn't stop.
Yes.
Right? Even after you graduate, even until now,
yes.
With 20 years of experience, I believe you are still learning.
Yes.
All right? So
all the time.
The learning doesn't end.
Correct.
And it would be perhaps premature to go into the field alone thinking that you can self-sustain. Perhaps you can. I'm not saying it's impossible, but the safer and more advisable route to take would be to also work together with colleagues and join a firm and sort of learn in a more collaborative space first.
Yes.
Okay, that sounds good.
And actually, with the current trend nowadays, right? Sometimes actually what the society looking into is like a company that can provide a lot of skills.
Mm-hmm.
So by the end of the day, after you finish working with this company, you start to realize, hey, you know what, Alce? I don't think I'm interested in doing or open the company myself, but I would rather to have a partner who can provide different skills, and together we open the company and give a better solution to society. Then boom, it's even better.
Right. Actually, what you just mentioned, it's an excellent pivot to what I'm about to share right here, because for you guys who are watching, right, if you didn't know this by now, PSB is actually about to launch a new program. It's graphic design and media, where we sort of merge two specialties and two fields together, right? Media and communication, as well as graphic design. And the idea of this is, hopefully, what you end up getting when you graduate is that you get a good marriage of both, the best of both worlds, where you learn the elements of design thinking, the technical applications of graphic design, such as, the Photoshops, the InDesign, and the illustrators, how to build your own portfolio, as well as learning the production side of things, such as doing videos, writing, presenting, communicating. And with that, the idea of that is hopefully you come out of it being better prepared for a wider spectrum of what graphic design and media is. Because I think we've talked about it earlier that graphic design today is not the same as what graphic design was 10, 15 years ago, because you just mentioned earlier that you need to sort of lean on the knowledge of other fields as well. The fields of production, the fields of video production, photography, and all that come and work together to bring out a more cohesive product, a more cohesive design.
Yes, that's
correct.
True. Yes.
So,
especially with the current trends, which is social media, digital marketing. Last time, the old graphic design program is very looking into the visuals only. But in terms of like looking into the customer behaviors and how to do the digital marketing, it's not really into design back then. Because last time it's all about into printing. But now, when you can actually able to combine these two different kind of platform, graphic design visuals, and then the media, that boom, that will be the fulfill the current trends.
Right.
And how we can even approach a better customer and even audience.
I see.
Yes.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, the learning never ends. This is what I always tell my students. So the combination of graphic design, be it graphic design or media or even business, that combination of knowledge is endless. And just because you have a course called graphic design and media doesn't mean you don't learn other fields. There's always more things to learn from, and the more you learn, the better you become in terms of understanding what the client wants as well, and what the industry needs. All right, so with that, thank you so much, Alce, for being part of the show. If you guys want to know more about Alce, where can people find you?
You can always find me on LinkedIn.
Okay.
Yes, my LinkedIn will be Alce Patricia.
Okay, how do you spell Alce?
Alce.
Okay. A lot of people call her Alice. Don't do that. Okay, it's Alce, ALCE. Patricia is spelled as Patricia. Okay, so you can find and LinkedIn. Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
Are you on Instagram?
Yes, I'm on Instagram as well. But mainly I'm very active on my Pinterest.
Pinterest.
Yes.
Right. That is the one thing I'm not active in. Okay. I don't know if I even have a Pinterest account. Okay, cool. So if you guys are looking for Alce, then that's where you can find her. She also teaches with us. Alce actually teaches marketing communication, as well as the upcoming program, which is graphic design and media. All right, with that, thank you guys for listening in. This has been Beyond the Lecture, episode 4. I'll see you guys in the next episode. Thanks. Bye-bye.
Thanks, everyone.